Yo, what's going on everyone? It's been a minute, but we are back now with another vid, and right now Global and JP are having a great time. Right now JP, of course, we have the Tanabata celebration going on, and for Global, you guys have the 9th year anniversary celebration going on right now with Broly and Gogeta out to summon for. So both sides of the game are eating really good. But because of these celebrations, I think one thing that we're kind of sweeping under the rug is all this information regarding the sync up for Global and JP. So we're going to be talking about that in this vid. Now, to talk about the sync, there are a couple different things to discuss, really. One is, of course, how is the sync meant to work? What is it meant to address, really? And then, when we expand upon that, we can talk about some other things like when is the sync even going to occur? We did get some information on that quite recently, so we're going to have to talk about that. And then also just talking about, in general, what are the good and bad things that will come with the sync for Global and JP players. So definitely a couple things to talk about, nothing too crazy. But I think the best way to start this off is by talking about what the sync is and how it's meant to work. And to understand that, we kind of have to look at two things. One is the state of the game right now for Global and JP, and then two is when the information came to light about the synchronization in the first place. So to talk about that second part, because I feel like that's a bit easier, the information regarding the sync up came during the Worldwide Celebration last year. So August and September of 2023, that was when the Worldwide Celebration took place for Global and JP. So obviously, at the end of August, we did have the Part 1 summons for Vegito Blue and for Tech Corrupted Zamasu. And then going into September, we had the Part 2 summons for Future Gohan and for Sword of Hope Trunks. Now, it was during this time that we got information given to us that there was going to be a sync up between Global and JP in specific regards to our operation schedules. Now, what this is entailing, or what this is really focusing on, is the fact that right now, Global and JP are on two separate distinct servers with two separate distinct operation schedules. So, a prime example to kind of emphasize this point is the 9th year anniversary, right? If we take the 9th year anniversary, right now, Global, you guys are enjoying that right now, right? And basically right now in July. For JP, we already had the 9th year anniversary take place at the beginning of this year back in January. So it's one example really, but it's meant to emphasize the point that right now, Global and JP have two different operation schedules, which basically means we have different kind of orders of operation when it comes to new releases of units, new campaigns, and stuff like that. So that's kind of where the situation is right now for Global and JP. Now, the sync is meant to alleviate all that, if you will. It's meant to change that up. So once the sync occurs, going forward after the sync takes place, Global and JP will be operating on the same exact operation schedule or the same release schedule, whatever you want to call it, which basically means we will be getting the same exact units at the same exact time on both Global and JP. Now, bear in mind, this does not mean, for those who are concerned, this does not mean that the actual servers are merging. So Global and JP, we are not merging into one kind of combined entity as a whole. We're keeping our separate servers, we're just working on the same timeline. So that's just kind of how the sync is meant to work right now. They may change things up as we go forward, but as far as we know right now, it's just meant to work on the operation schedule and just that alone. Now, when we talk about when the actual sync is going to occur, that's where things get a bit interesting. When the information first came to light to us, back last Worldwide Celebration, people had different theories. Some people thought it was going to happen during the 9th year anniversary, some people thought it was going to happen as late as the 10th year anniversary, and some others just had the idea that will happen sometime in between, especially when the devs put out some information a couple months ago, I believe now, about it basically going to be taking place during the summer. That's when people thought, hey, it may happen in May, June, maybe July, because typically we kind of associate summer, I guess, or at least for me, I usually think of summer as like May, June, July, because that's when school lets out for like high school and college and stuff, so that's where like summer kind of entails for me. But to be fair, summer is not just those 3 months, also August is a part of that, and that's where they kind of focused on it in terms of the Dokkan Now. So the Dokkan Now, actually, you see I have the step-up information here. But in the Dokkan Now that came out about a week ago, they had a bunch of information, and obviously a lot of it was focused on the 9th year anniversary because they were trying to promote that, but of course they had two other kind of new pieces of information. One, which you see right here, is the new step-up summon system for Global, right, with the new anniversary banners. And then the other thing right here is the information on the actual sync-up. So you see here, actually, if the video will load for it, there we go. So the sync-up information that they shared with us about a week ago now was that the unification for the operation schedule, which basically means syncing up the operation schedules for Global and JP, that will happen, or that will start, with the Worldwide campaign in August. So basically, when we come into the upcoming Worldwide Celebration in about a month and a half now, then we will start to get the sync up between Global and JP. And basically what that means is that once the Worldwide Celebration is over, which pretty much happens at the end of September, really, that's when it ends, going into October and then the foreseeable future, then we should be synchronized as far as our operation schedules are concerned. So, you know, kind of a understandable, I guess, time frame. At least me personally, I think a lot of people share this opinion, but I feel like a lot of us already kind of knew the worldwide celebration was going to be when they got the sync to happen. I mean, when you think about the name worldwide celebration, it kind of makes sense to have the world celebrate a sync up between Global and JP, or maybe I'm just kind of reaching there, but I don't know. To me, that's just kind of the logic for me, and that just kind of made sense. So that seems to be the plan that they're going with. Now, this may change. I mean, they said earlier that it was going to be in summer. Technically, August is still a part of summer, so they're still in their kind of own expected time frame, but maybe things change depending on various factors. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. Now, the thing is, because they are planning to have this happen during Worldwide Celebration, we're pretty much only like a month and a half out, right? Basically 6 weeks out. And because of that, there are a couple things that are missing on Global, which are kind of like slight blemishes, if you will. And I actually have to give a shout out to Truth here, because Truth mentioned this in his Twitter post. But basically, as it currently stands here, right now Global is missing out on these 5 units. The Tech UI Goku from the Tanabata Celebration, so this Goku right here. You guys are also missing out on the Physical Dokkan Festival Topo. And then you're also missing out on LR STR Cell Max. So those are 3 units that we have on JP right now, at least, that you guys are missing on Global. So those 3 are definitely in a bit of a limbo, as Truth actually states himself. And then also, we are missing out, or I guess Global, actually, you guys will be missing out on the Part 2 unit for Tanabata and the July 30th Dokkan Fest. So we don't know who that Part 2 is yet on JP, but we'll definitely be getting him along with this Dokkan Festival. For Global, obviously you guys aren't celebrating Tanabata just yet, so you would be missing out on this unit. And as far as the July 30th Dokkan Fest, to kind of show that through the lens of the last year of Dokkan, right? This is the JP timeline, of course. You know, going into July, for us, we were enjoying the Tanabata celebration. We had the Part 2 unit with Omega Shenron, and then right after, we had the Dokkan Festival Super Trunks. And this was the final Dokkan Fest before we headed into the worldwide celebration. So, you guys on Global will likely be missing out on that too after the worldwide celebration is over and we're synced up. So, there is a bit of a question on how these 5 are going to be worked in. Me personally, it's kind of hard to guess and kind of hard to decide on how they will probably do it. Me, like, in terms of what I think they should do or maybe what they will do, I think that they're going to try to put a lot of these units in like a New Year's banner or something like that to kind of draw the hype and draw the appeal. Maybe they make one big banner that just includes these 5 units. Maybe they try to work these units into other major banners just to kind of appease the Global side of the game, because obviously some of these units are really, really nice, like Cellmax and Goku, so you want to have them on your side of the game, of course. And I mean, if they're kind of denying you that for the sync up, that can be kind of frustrating for sure for a Global player. So I have seen some people kind of voice their anger on that, but I understand. At the same time, I'm sure they're trying to do the best they can to kind of figure this out, given basically the self-imposed time constraints that they have at this point. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how they're going to cook and what they're going to do. But right now, for sure, we're going to be seeing the worldwide celebration basically start the whole sync up for the operations system between the schedules and all that for Global and JP. Now, the last thing to talk about really is what are the good and bad kind of aspects about the sync up. Of course, you know, any decision that changes the game in some major way, shape, or form, there's going to be pros and cons to it in certain capacities, right? And in the sync up sort of kind of context, there are, of course, pros and cons to it. Right now, when we talk about the both sides of the game, right now, I'll just say right now, the sync up does not really affect us on JP. For JP, I don't want to say that we don't care, but for me personally, like, I look at the sync up and I think, oh, that's great for JP, or that's great for Global, I should say. But it doesn't really affect us on JP, so I'm not too concerned about what it's going to do for us. I'm just kind of interested to see how it's going to help Global players in some aspect. But for JP, you know, we're already kind of rolling along our schedule. We're not really changing anything. If anything, the sync up is meant to help Global players catch up to us on our schedule. So that's just kind of how things are set up right now. But right now, for Global players, when we talk about how you guys are set up right now before the sync takes place, you guys have certain privileges actually that are actually kind of nice to take advantage of. And one major thing is Global Foresight. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily a coin term. I have to give a big shout out to Vilify, because he actually talked about Global Foresight in his video a while back, and I actually thought about that. I was like, yeah, that's actually probably the best way to kind of describe it. But, you know, when we talk about Global players and the Global side of the game, you guys have this ability to see beforehand what are the new units coming out on the JP side of the game, and then make educated decisions on which units are good to summon for and which units are trash, basically, because you get to see JP players react to them, you get to see JP players play with those units in real time with 55%, you know, full dupes, whatever, and you basically get to understand how good are these units in various sorts of difficult content, so you can make best decisions for yourself. A great example of this actually would be Beast Gohan. You know, Beast Gohan, of course, and actually, let me see if I can find him to kind of show you all, to show him off, I should say. But Beast Gohan, he of course is the Part 2 unit for the 9th year anniversary. Now when JP got him, we were all very hyped, of course, to get a new Beast Gohan, an actual standalone Beast Gohan, and we thought he was all, pretty strong, but we didn't know exactly how good he was probably going to be, right? And obviously when you look at the unit right now, he's been out for basically about 5 to 6 months almost, eventually, and he has been basically the #1 unit since he was released up to this point in time. And it's crazy to think about how strong he is, but he is that strong, and maybe even then some. Now for Global, you guys have this advantage because you got to see Beast Gohan, you got to enjoy the hype, of course, of knowing there's Beast Gohan in the future, and you also got to know that he is essentially a fantastic broken unit in many ways. And so you could know beforehand, okay, well, I should save my stone so I can summon for Beast Gohan on his banner and hopefully pull him and take advantage of all that he has to offer. So those are the sorts of things that Global has a big advantage on right now. If the sync occurs, which again, it's going to occur, but once the sync occurs, I should say, this whole kind of global foresight is going to be gone because you're going to be on the same schedule with us. So you're going to be with us reacting in real time to units that are going to basically come into the game a couple days after we see them on Twitter and other sorts of social media platforms. So that's going to be the situation in terms of how things change for Global, right? So yeah, the con is you lose that global foresight. I guess the pro though, and maybe, Global players especially, let me know down in the comments below how you feel about this. But the pro, of course, is that you get to enjoy the hype in real time. Especially with us on JP, we get to enjoy the hype, of course, but you'll be there with us. So let me know, do you prefer enjoying that hype? Obviously, it's a game. You want to see the new units in real time, and obviously that's really dope and all. But do you want to have that sort of hype, or would you rather keep that global foresight in terms of being able to know beforehand, way in advance, which units are good and which units are bad? Let me know that sort of stuff in the comments. But me personally, looking from the JP side, I'm happy for you guys to be able to sync up with us, just to enjoy that hype, because for me personally, I'll take the hype over being able to predict like which units are really good and really bad. I feel like we can already have a good gauge of that sort of stuff beforehand. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you guys really kind of prefer to have that serious advantage of knowing well in advance of which units are good and bad. So that's something, I guess, to consider there. The other thing to consider, and this is actually not necessarily a good or a bad thing, is the kind of differences on the summon advantages for Global and JP. Right now, obviously, we did talk about it through the Dokkan now, but they did implement a step-up summon system for the 9th anniversary banners. So this is definitely a new sort of thing. It's similar to Dragon Ball Legends, right, which they have their own step-up system. So if you play Dragon Ball Legends, you've probably seen this before, but also I'm sure there's also other gacha games that do the same thing. But for JP, or not JP, but for Dokkan on the Global side, they haven't done this before, I would say, for the most part, on like something like this with the 9th anniversary banners. So as far as the summon kind of system is concerned, I doubt that they're going to necessarily change the summon systems on Global and JP to kind of synchronize that between each other, but maybe we'll have to wait and see. Me personally, I would like to take some of the Global benefits on the JP. I'm not gonna lie, if you guys could give us your step-up summons, if you could give us the tickets or the discounted multis, I'm all here for it, because I'm not gonna lie, we're kind of suffering in terms of some of the discount stuff. Yes, we get buy 3, get 1s, but, compared to things like the step-up, I would definitely have the step-up over that. So there are some things, I guess, we'll have to wait and see what they're going to do. In terms of the sync, we'll have to just wait and see how far they're going to kind of push it. But right now, of course, just based on the fact that it's likely going to be only the operation schedule, which means the new units being released and all that sort of stuff, the summon stuff between Global and JP, that's probably not going to change. Obviously, the servers are not going to be merging, so I think for the most part, there's not going to be that many crazy differences with the sync up, but obviously the biggest thing is the fact that Global, you guys are losing that advantage of knowing beforehand which units are cracked and which are not. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how they're going to cook with the sync up. We're going to have to wait and see, of course, how they're going to try to work in these units. And we're going to have to see, if they end up saying, we're going to postpone this into the 10th year anniversary or something even later than that. I don't think that's going to be the case, but, we'll have to wait and see what happens, right? We can't honestly know for sure. In any case, though, guys, that's going to do it for the video. If you guys liked it, of course, hit the like button down below. Subscribe so you can see more videos like this in the future. Comment down below, how excited are you guys for the sync up? Is it something you look forward to? Is it something you're in fact dreading? Let me know in the comments, and also feel free to check out some of the other vids I have on the channel. And one last thing before I let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for helping me hit 100 subs. Obviously, this is only a stepping stone. We're going to try to hit higher and higher goals and metrics and everything like that. But still, we got to recognize the moments when they come. And hitting 100 subs is definitely one of those moments. Thank you guys so much. I've already made community posts and Twitter posts and everything. But from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you guys enough. The gratitude. I keep saying it all the time when I make these kind of thank yous. But still, it really does mean a lot. And just know that I do recognize all the support you guys are giving. So thank you guys so much for that. In any case, though, sappy stuff out of the way. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, stay blessed, and I will see you all in the next one.